Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are again. Are we at morning? Yeah, we're still in the morning. Okay. Sometimes I don't know. I get in my room here and I don't know what time of day it is. Anyway, welcome to part 2 of Foundations in Magic, Geomancy. And this is going to be a little lesson on how to build a shield chart. Now, I've gone ahead and I have filled all of this out, and we're just going to follow along because it's going to be a lot easier than taking the time to do it. So it'll just give us more time to talk. So what I did is I took and I put these, I went ahead and I put these in. The first ones you do are the mothers, okay? These are the mothers, these are the daughters. These down here represent the nephews. This is the right witness, this is the left witness, which is overall influences, and down here we have the judge or outcome. I've also done a reconciler, excuse me, which is created between this, the 15th rune and the first rune. And that creates a reconciler. So we'll take a look at all of that. I've gone ahead and I've written out what the runes are here. I've done some arrows to show you how they get created. But let's go ahead and start with taking a look at the first rune is Albus. And if you'll recall, that's sage or wisdom. We have Laetitia. I didn't write that very well, so I had to really go over it. Laetitia here, which is joy. We have Puella here, which is little girl energy. It's sort of flighty. It's fortunate, though, but it's unstable because it's youthful. She means well, you know, but she gets carried away sometimes. And then we have the fourth rune, which is Vaya, or path, or new direction. Now, from there, how we create the daughters is we take each line. The first line is the fire line. The second line is the air line. The third line is water, and the fourth is earth. Okay, so for the fifth one, which turns out to be Caput Draconis, we're going to take this top line right here and put it right there in the same order. Okay, so we have 2, 1, 1, and 1, and that makes Caput Draconis. Oh, and you might have noticed we work from right to left on these, which is odd, but it's just what you do. So moving on to the second line, we're going to create the Tristitia in box 6. You've got 2, 2, 2, and 1. You see that? Creating 2, 2, 2, and 1, which is Tristitia. Moving to the third, we have 1, 2, 1, 1 to create Puella. And then the last line is 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1 for Fortuna Major. Okay, so that's how we got that. Now, here comes the cool part. When you're figuring out how to combine the rest, the initial line, you're just taking directly from each line of each rune of the first 4. But with the rest of it, 9 through 15, we're going to be combining. And how we're going to do that is, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. If you see a 2 and a 1, that equals 3. If you get an odd number, in other words, you're going to write down a single dot. If what you add up together, like on the next line is 2 and 2, you're going to put 2 dots. Okay? Odd number, a single dot. Even number, 2 dots. Okay? So now you get the hang of it. We have 1 because that's 2 and 1 is 3. We have 2 because 2 and 2 are 4. 1 and 2 again are 3, so that's an odd number, so we get a single dot. And then 2 and 2 are 4, and we get another dual dot, creating a missio. And this can lend itself to a monthly reading very easily because you've got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. not 2 week threes. And then down here, you've got the outcome and the overall influences. So this really, I mean, this is what I use when I do the monthly geomancy reading on the blog. I've sort of taken a little bit of a hiatus from that, but I'm going to start it back up again because I love this stuff. And so I think what I think that oh, and also there's also going to be it's called Reference Materials for Foundation in Magick, Geomancy. Anyway, so all of these things will be, the blank ones will all be there on the blog, plus all of the interpretations for each rune, plus the house stuff, plus I have to draw out the little sigils that you use, and we'll talk about that when we come down here and how I derive that. But again, moving on to week 2, we've got 2 and 2 equals 2, or 1 and 1 equals 2, all right? It's even numbers, so you put 2 dots. 2 and 1, you get a single dot. 1 and 1, you get an even number, so 2. 1 and 1 again, 2, and now we have Rubeus here. Is that what we have? I'm looking at from behind. Yeah, we have Rubeus for week 2. Over here, we're gonna combine Tristitia and Caput Draconis to create Conjunctio, or joining. So again, we've got 2 and 2 is 4, so we get 2. 1 and 2 is 3, we get 1. The same here, we get 1. And 1 and 1 is 2, so we get 2. And then lastly, we have, I think I can do this right. We have, let's see, what did I say? Fortuna Major with Puella creates Laetitia. So again, 2 and 1 is 1, that's 3 is 1, 1 dot. 2 and 2 is 4, so 2. And the same all the way down. From here, we're going to create Cauda Draconis for both overlying influences, okay? Both past and future, or projective and receptive, however you want to see it, okay? It just depends on how you want to see this and what you're trying to achieve. You can really define all this, the last 3 yourself. But generally speaking, the last one's considered the outcome. So underlying influences, past and future, again, however you want to see it. But all of these combine to create Cauda Draconis. The tail of the dragon, the end of the matter, karma, past life influences. And together, they create populace, Cauda and Cauda do. If we're looking for a reconciler, we're combining populace with albus, and we get Rubeus. Suggesting there's not always wisdom in going along with the crowd. Okay, but there can be. So let's take a look at, that's if we need anything. We don't necessarily need anything. I think it's probably the cautionary tale of the reading. But let's go ahead and look at this and see how we interpret this. Here we have Laetitia and Albus and Amicio. So we already know from Amicio that we're losing something here. So is it wisdom and joy? Is it wisdom and happiness? Is it awareness, maybe? That we're maybe week 1, maybe we're not going to be so clear about what's going on. Okay? So I think that that's how I would interpret that. If you move on then to week 2, you're looking at Vaya and Puella and Rubeus. Okay? So Rubeus, remember, is some pretty unstable adult energy. Maybe something's trying to get in the way. We had confusion and a lack of awareness in week 1, but we have a new direction that might be a little bit unstable with maybe some things getting in the way in week 2. Okay. Now, week 3, we have Tristitia, Caput Draconis again, and let's see, or I guess not again. We will have it again, or no, we won't. We only have 1 Caput, I guess, this time. So Tristitia, Caput Draconis, and Conjunctio. Things seem to be resolving in week 3. Okay, with Vaya, or rather, I'm sorry, week 3. With that was week 2. With Tristitia, and Caput Draconis, there may have been enough sadness and loss that we've now learned a thing or two. Maybe awareness is coming back in. We've learned a thing or two, and we understand that our way forward is together. The new beginnings have to do with uniting with other people. And then lastly, in week 4, we're seeing Fortuna Major, Puella, and Laetitia. So from the unity and the new direction of Caput Draconis, we now have, greater fortune based on maybe, the willingness to explore and to learn new things and all of that Puella is going to give us. And then in the final analysis in week 4, then we achieve joy. So whereas we might have begun the month in confusion, maybe a little bit, where we're really sure a lot of unstable stuff was going on, and we're trying to understand it. We're trying to remain in joy. But at the same time, the confusion is maybe lessening that somehow. Then we move forward into a new direction that might be somewhat unstable, and maybe we don't have all the facts. Maybe we're not really ready to take that new step yet. But then we realize in week 3 that really to really make that a success, we have to come together with other people. And then in week 4, we find our joy and our success because we've done that. Now, the overall influences here, we can look at Cauda Draconis. And one more thing before we do that, though. You see this little sigil in the middle? Now, you can choose which one you want it to be, but this one is Mars's sigil. And it's not Graphiel, it's intelligence, but it's the sigil. It's the spirit, the planetary spirit for Mars. Mars is related to, actually, I should have chosen a different one I was kind of looking at the whole thing for week 1, and it seems to be a little bit unstable. But if it were Albus, then if I were just looking at that, then I probably would have used, I think, Sorath, maybe. But let me look really quick here in my notes to see if Sorath would be the one. I don't know. Let me look here. Amicio Albus. Oh, no, it's Taf Thartharath, or Tyrael. Likely to do with Mercury. So you can look at it that one as well, but I chose the overall. You can just do it with box 1 if you want to. Whatever the intelligence or the planetary sigil is for, or spirit is for the first, whatever runes in the first box. I chose instead to take all 3, and I decided that Mars would be a little bit more appropriate here because it's just some unstable stuff that's kicking in and not kind of creating some confusion in that regard. So the Mars energy might get away and you can't really keep things focused, and so that's why I chose that. Also, I think that it helps keep us on the path of Populus. And that's here. And again, I'm interpreting that as shared purpose and shared direction with other people. We've learned from the past. We've learned from everything that maybe past lives have told us. Right now, oh Lord, we've got like 7 planets, 8 if you count Vulcan, in retrograde. And so lots of inner work is going on right now in this 22 cosmic builder year. And I think that with this, what you would be looking at is just a shift away from a more confused approach, maybe, where your perceptions are not clear, into one where we understand that from past life experience, maybe past woundings or what have you, whether early childhood or past life, but all of that is informing the path forward. And instead of an individual path, which it would be if we saw Vaya there as the judge, instead we see Populus. And so again, it's promoting the idea of an overall understanding throughout a given month's time here that the shared path forward is the one that's preferable to via or the one we take alone. We get in trouble when we take stuff alone, don't we? So there you go. Control that Mars energy and take that path together. Let that motivate you in the direction of shared purpose with all. So that would be I think the overall interpretation of this particular reading. And hopefully you've gotten an idea about how all these combine together. I will do a link also to building a shield chart, which I've already done one of those, and I generally link to it everywhere. I'll also include that link as well as the one to the graphics that you can have and the little cheat sheets you can have as well. So all that'll also be on the blog. But I think that you can see, let me just add one last thing. If we didn't understand that the path forward is together, then Rubeus comes in if we do Rubeus as the reconciler. And once again, usually you only do this if the reading isn't clear once you get down to the bottom. If you're still like, what is this about? You can kind of find out what it's about by combining this one, with box 1, 15 with box 1. And here, we're looking at Albus and the judge. But at the same time, it's suggesting that some unstable energy might have brought us to this point. Some oppressive energy might have brought us to this point. And that's kind of how I see the reconciler. So it's like, okay, we got to do this, but why? Well, because we've got some pretty unstable energy here with people that don't understand how to preserve life. If you're talking about the pandemic, for example. You have the powers that be that want to work at cross purposes, literally cross purposes, the complete opposite from the rest of us. We want to survive. They seem to want something else. So that would be the something else. That's the unstable Rubeus energy in this reading. Okay. So again, I'll photocopy this or take a picture of it and scan it. And if I take a picture of it with my iPad, it's better because then it's a graphic and it's easier for me to put it in. It's also easier for you to grab it if you want it. And then that way you can just have it for your own resource, basically, and your own reference. So in any event, I will do that. I'm also going to do that probably to show you the order. I'm going to just take a picture of this one. Agrippa has a different order. When we go to the next video, the last one, and we start talking about how to do a house chart, Agrippa does it differently. You can just do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can do that in just the order if you want to. If you don't, and I didn't for this purpose, for this next one, this will be how it'll look. But basically, I used Agrippa's format, but you don't have to do that. I will include the shield chart that looks like this right here, that has the order of where each one, of what house each one goes into. Okay, and then that way you'll know Agrippa's, and you can just be thinking about that and try to see the wisdom behind it or the fallacy behind it. It's up to you, how you see it. Some of it I see as wisdom, some of it I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, so I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned. We're going to go on to part 3, and we'll take a look at the how you do it with a house chart. So back in a flash. Thanks so much for watching. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, wear a mask if you go out, and blessed be.